sorry. Still the wrong side, right?
Oh, yeah. Welcome to this will either be on Roleplay Cafe or I'll upload it to mine. I don't know. I'm trying to get all this stuff on Dell's channel. I want to welcome Donnie, Eloy, Jose, and Todd, and Dell. Hopefully we'll get in here if he can. If not, they'll make it without him. But we are going to launch Whitebox, fantastic medieval adventure game tonight, running my world setting, Island of Suul. And with that, we're going to get rolling. And Donnie, go ahead and tell us where we're at here.
So once I open up my eyes after being teleported, I look out and it's like this field of like super tall grass. And I look around and I get kind of my equipment because I see like it had popped off of me. And I get up and I notice that there's like these horsemen and it looks like there's a fire going on, and I look up in the sky and there's a dragon kind of going around this like little small village. So I make my way over and I see that they're kind of doing the bucket brigade thing, trying to put out some of these fires. So I start looking around and I take out my blanket or bedroll, whatever you want to call it, and I start dousing it in water and I put it on me and I try to get into these buildings to make sure that there's no one trapped in there. So long story short, I get into this one barn, I guess you could say, and there's some horses in there and there's a man in there and he jumps on this horse and he starts taking off as I'm trying to free these other horses that are in the stall so they don't die. And as he leaves, he's like dropping down coins, and I only grab a little bit, because I'm broke. And as he leaves, and I try to get like the last horse out, and I turn, and there's this man who's yelling at me. I don't know what he's saying because I don't speak his language. And basically, from the gestures as he's pointing to the horses, he's not too happy that I let the horses out. But the building was on fire, so, granted it wasn't completely in flames, just the roof was on fire. But, yeah, so that's kind of where we're at is I got busted for releasing the horses.
So she woke up seeing this little village waylaid by a dragon, and the dragon circled and enjoyed its work, and then it left, and the local units chased it. The local horsemen went after it to clear it away. It was a grain storage warehouse, and the crops are decimated, and she's rescued these horses. It was a gnome that climbed on the horse and rode out and almost ran her over, and carrying under his arm a box that was dropping gold pieces. This little gnome. So that's kind of where we're at. And then Jody's character, or Dell's character, was wrangling up the horses outside, helping the locals wrangle these horses up. He had come up from another area. So that's where she's at. And this guy's grabbed you and taken you out back, correct?
Correct.
I think that's where we left it.
Yeah.
And he's pulling you behind other buildings, and he's like walking you down. And as you walk, he's got hold of your arm. And he's straddling coins, a string of coins that this gnome must have left as he ran. And he brings you to the back. He brings you to the back of a tavern, a big 3-story tavern/inn. And the back door is busted down, and there's a person. As you step in, you find that there's someone knocked unconscious, and he looks at you and he speaks in this again language you don't understand. Un loco, and he's he's babbling on at you in some foreign language. And at some point, you're not elf, right? At one point, I thought you were an elf, but you're not an elf, right?
Yeah, I'm not an elf.
And so he's pointing at this, and he's looking at you and shaking you.
I kind of put my hands up and I'm like looking because I don't want to make any threatening because I already feel like I'm in hot water, and I'm kind of look down at that person that's unconscious. Like I want to see what is up with him.
Yeah, it's a male human, and has been obviously knocked on the head. You can't tell if he's dead. If you further investigation, you might be able to tell quickly. Clearly somebody had thumped him on the head and left out this back door. Now, are your arms covered?
I just have like kind of like sleeves. I don't have anything physically on my hand. Okay. But I do want to say I do have a hood on me, but it's not up. And I do kind of tucked in have something that I can kind of hide my face.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
So he continues to bark and yell and point, and then he kind of grabs you, spins you around, grabs your backpack if you've got one, and then
I do.
Okay, and then he's again speaking to you in this strange language, and he reaches for your left arm and starts trying to pull up your shirt.
I kind of knock him off, and kind of at that point, I kind of like push him, not forcefully, but just kind of like, whoa, don't touch me, kind of forced, like, don't touch me.
So he then furrows his brows and he goes, Unhota, and he pulls his shirt up and shows you this magical tattoo that changes as you look at it. Oh, Unhota.
So I want to pull up my sleeve, kind of show him like, I don't know what you're talking about looking. I don't have it. And so I pull up that sleeve.
Okay. And he looks and he's, Aklo no. And he steps over this unconscious person and disappears into the darkness of this tavern. And you can hear his feet and he's yelling, Aklo through the tavern, leaving you standing out back by yourself with your sleeve up. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to leave you there for a sec. And we're going to bring in the other gentleman here. So, at some point, you three were maybe together. Do you want to have been together in your previous continent, on the previous continent on the other side of the globe? I can't hear you, Todd. You're muted.
Eloy, what's your character's name?
My character name is Milo.
Milo.
He's a halfling warder of the, like a forest warden. I had thought he would be. Oh, there's Dale.
Sorry, guys. Did not mean to pass out. Then my computer was froze up. I had to restart it and everything.
I tell you,
Anyway.
when you're 50, the shit just starts falling apart, man.
I was in there. I was reading the book actually, and the cat climbed on my lap, and before I knew it, I was waking up. I was like, what? Oh, jeez.
So.
Okay. Go ahead, Eloy.
Yeah, I was thinking it was sort of like a border patrol for the area where the halflings live, right? The
Nice.
seven Dales, and that explains why he's a fighter, or and kind of like a ranger too, because he protects the woodland borders of the.
Okay. So would you guys have been together?
Make it easy, sure. Okay, why not?
Yeah.
No, why not?
Okay.
Sure.
So the last thing you would remember then is you were battling this. You were maybe storming or assaulting this wizard, and the next thing you know, you're waking up. Right. You smell sulfur. You taste sulfur. You're waking up. You're looking at the blue sky. There's grass that is, you're on the ground. Of course, the grass is so tall you cannot see in any direction until you stand, and even then, halfling may not be able to, of course. And this is for everybody here, but Dell's character, right? Dell's character will have to get to where he was already at in play, and your stuff, whatever you were carrying, right, in your hands, is kind of scattered about you. It's almost like you got zapped and dropped, and you dropped everything. You're waking up. You don't know how long you may have been out. It could have been seconds, could have been hours. But the sun is in a different spot of the sky than when you met that wizard. So you know that it might have been midnight where you were at some point. And as you can see to the north of you, which will be if you've seen in the sky, you'll see just this little bit of black clouds or smoke. And if you stand to try to see, again, the halfling, this will be very hard. This is very dense, tall grass. I mean, unless you climb on the shoulders of one of your comrades here, you may have trouble seeing in this grass. But the Corvish and Maramundi, as you stand, you can see over the grass, but it's chin high probably, unless again you're 4 feet tall, which I don't probably imagine you guys are, right? And you can see now smoke and black smoke filling the air, and it's probably a mile and a half northeast of your location.
Okay.
You hear coming through the grass, and Maramund and Corvish, you can see just off about 75 yards from you, coming through the grass, a horse, and on the back of that horse, a little character, looks almost like a halfling, a little gnome or something, and he's riding like hell, and he's juggling something and trying to stay on this horse. The horse is way too much for him, and he's riding past you southwest, about 75 yards from you.
A gnome on a horse.
You can hear it, Milo, but you can't see it.
Yeah.
You hear this, and he's cutting through the tall grass. Yes, I'm sorry, Corvish. What did you say?
It's a gnome on a horse.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
What is going on? My bow? Where's my bow? So I'm scrambling around the grass, parting the grass, trying to get my stuff.
You collect it all up pretty easily. It's not far from you.
Okay.
And again, you can taste and smell. It's like your nostrils, your mouth full of sulfur, where he obviously hit you with some kind of spell, right?
Is something on fire? Behrman, Corvish, I can't see a thing.
It's worrisome that there's no heights here for me to climb up upon to get a better view of the situation, Corvish says, as he's gathering his items up.
You can see just to your left, again, this would be west. You can see a copse of trees, and there's a line of trees that climb up on a slight rise, and they run the length for miles.
Oh,
but in every direction around you, aside from the slight change of territory, is so far just tall grass, right?
Right.
You can see that obviously this slopes downward. You just can't see down the hill, and again, that there's about a quarter of a mile away that slopes down from where you're at.
Okay, so it's a quarter mile to this rise.
Well, that's about a mile, but just if you were to march northeast, that you can see where the horizon line somewhat peaks and drops off. So you might be on a rise above other area.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But in every other direction, guys. And in the far, that's okay. And in the very far, directly behind you south, you can see just tops of peaks, like a mountain range maybe. And there's one very large peak, but it may be 50, 60 miles. Hard to say. It's very far.
Okay.
And that's what can be seen from this grass plains.
Right. Okay.
And I'm assuming it's not only the sun that's different, but we weren't in a high grass plain before either,
nope,
right?
You would have been either in maybe approaching him in his tower, or you might have been fighting him in his tower. Whatever reason, though, you weren't worth killing. He just sent you away. Right.
Where are we? I don't recognize this grassland from the dells. Does it go on for long? I can't see a thing.
We need to get to the high ground.
Seems to go on for miles, and there's a fire in the place this gnome was riding from.
Yes.
This is our only point of reference here, so it might be danger, but it should be the place that we should approach.
Okay. So do you want to march on north toward that, northeast? Okay.
Yes.
That's what I say.
All right.
Yeah.
Sure. So we'll go to Dell's character. I keep wanting to say Jody. It's Jody's character. By the way, Dell has agreed to play another person's character that's in the Facebook group. So that'd be kind of neat. So he didn't make this character, so he's gonna. Right. I think you're still doing that, right, Dell?
Yeah, now it says human. I remember you saying it was elf, but
I have no
can play
idea.
elf.
Yeah, human's great. Nope, human's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't bother me. I thought he said he was. Oh, he said he was a thief, not an elf. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you now, Donnie's already recapped what happened to her, and you wouldn't know about this anyway, because you were in a different area. So when you woke up, you headed toward the copse of trees. As a thief, you were low in the grass. You got into the copse of trees. You climbed the ridge, and you moved along that, and you came into a logging area where there were elves. And you approached them as quietly as you could, and a couple of these elves who were stripped, wearing it's hot, right? I mean, a hot day. They were stripped to the waist. They had axes. They were failing trees. These were stout elves. These were not lithe, thin elves. These were muscled up elves, all short blonde hair. Their hair is cut tight, large ears, and they spotted you. And when they spotted you, they began to bark at you in a foreign language. They began to demand you show them your arm. And they, of course, having no shirts on, they showed you these tattoos, these magical tattoos that change their runes. And then when you showed them, again, this was Jody's play in the play-by-play, he pulled his sleeve up and showed them, and they then started yelling at him and throwing rocks at him and threatening him with the axes, and he escaped toward the dragon. There had been a dragon circling. That's why he went into the trees, to avoid the dragon. And this dragon waylaid the crops in a village, and he decided to make his way full speed to that village. And at the same time, he stumbled across about 6 ruffian-looking characters that he hid from. As they were passing through, they watched a platoon of men ride fast. These were armored men on horses. They rode fast toward the village. He was pursuing them toward the village when he was cut off by about 8 ruffians, bandits, and he hid from them until those guys passed, as they decided that they were laughing at the warriors riding toward the fire. And then he, his full speed, ran down to embrace and see what's happening. And he has been using his rope to lasso 3 horses that Donnie's character rescued from a burning barn. And so he's been lassoing and handing these horses over to villagers who've given up on trying to put out the fire. They're just letting this huge grain warehouse burn. And White, I think it's White Wolf is the name of his character. Is that right?
Yeah.
White Wolf has been handing these horses over to the villagers. So that's kind of where you're at right now.
Okay, so he's just corralling escaping horses.
Yeah, there's about 6 horses that Donnie freed from the fire, and so he's been helping corral them. Right.
All right. I'm gonna play according to what I'm seeing on this character sheet. Okay.
Absolutely. No. I just wanted to bring you up to speed in the world where you were at. Okay.
Okay. Gotcha.
And again, these people are sweating profusely. They're clearly shaken. They're just mingling now and shouting and talking. They're watching the barn burn. They've endeavored to put out the fire on the roof of the corral where she refleed the horses, and they're up there now putting the fire out on the roof. And they're taking the horses, not really paying attention to them. They're almost in a shocked state, right? Okay. And those warriors chased the dragon as the dragon flew away. They got on their horses and chased it. Okay, so they're not here. That platoon of armed warriors.
Okay, but how many horses have his White Wolf?
2. He had collected 2. Right.
Okay, now I'm noticing them just stunned and standing there.
Mm-hmm.
Your horses, they're getting away. Do you not care?
Most of them don't seem to hear you with all the hubbub, but a couple of them look immediately at you. Aklo?
I'm walking up, pulling the horse. I suppose by the reins.
Right. They reach up tentatively to take the horse, and they continue to speak to you in a language you don't understand. Same language the elves barked and screamed at you at in the trees.
I go like this.
Hotat. And again, you've heard that before. And he points to his left forearm. Unatat. And he pulls it up and shows you this magical runed tattoo that changes.
Big rune, yeah. Nice.
Aklo no. And they start yelling and backing away. And then everybody's looking, and you see a few that appear to be more confident, and maybe elders of the village kind of encircle you, and they're while the others move away. They take the horses, and they're watching you, One approaches very cautiously and looks you up and down. And he says he repeats the same thing. Noloak un sulan.
Nologak un Sulan, I say in response.
He smiles and everybody goes, thinking you understand. Sulan. So he starts rattling off this sentence, and once in a while you hear un and you hear Sulan and, you hear un.
Sulan. Shaking my head in agreement.
Okay, and everybody seems to relax a little bit, and some of them go back to fighting the fire, collecting the horses, leaving you there with a couple of these older gentlemen. As you guys top the rise, Milo, Cornish, and Marlon, I can't remember your name.
Barramond.
Mara. I can't do it.
Isn't it Barramond?
It's B.
Yes.
Oh.
B. Barramond.
Barramond. Oh my gosh, I got Maramond. That's why it's messing me up. Barramond. Okay. Sorry about that. You guys do come to the top of that rise, and again, a little easier now. So the grass starts to get shorter as you guys as you climb the rise. The grass shortens, and now you can see down about a mile and a half this burning village. There's a lake. This village is just a few hundred yards off this lake, and this clearly looks like it's maybe a fishing village. There's a pier. There's boats in the lake. The lake's pretty large, and you can see in the far distance a spot in the sky. You can't quite make out what that is, and then this row of trees. You can see people mingling around as the crops burn, and the warehouse is at this point. It's so hot, it's collapsing in on itself now. This large grain storage facility.
I don't recognize this place at all. But we must help. Look, their crops are burning.
How the hell did a fire like this start all over the village at once?
I have no idea, but fire spreads quickly. Come on. And I start rushing down as fast as my little legs will carry me, because the men will just overtake me. But hey,
right.
Corvish looks to Barramond and says, "Here we go again." I follow the halfling down the ride.
Nice, full speed. Okay. Go ahead, Jose. You were gonna say?
No. Barrymore obviously brings up the rear in his heavier armor, and he's more paranoid. He's got his shield and spear at the right.
Good. So as you progress toward, so Donnie, you're standing now in this back alley. He's left the door open. You hear him in the inn talking to people frantically.
I want to run away from him. I want to try to get away because just from his reaction. So I want to clarify something real quick. So you said earlier that I had found 23 gold pieces
that you picked up. Yep.
Okay, so I'm adding that to my overall thing, right?
Yep.
I just want to clarify. Okay.
Yep.
So,
well, you do notice if you stop and all look, they are not minted. They're not the same kind of gold pieces. They don't have the same wording. They don't have the same profile on them. A little different. It's a mountain. It's a mountain peak with some kind of eye symbol, right? And that's on one side of the coin. The other side of the coin, it looks like a robed figure, maybe a high priest type silhouette on the other side of the coin. And this is on all the coins, whether they're copper, silver, or gold.
So I want to kind of
different than your coins, yeah.
Correct. So I want to keep those coins kind of close by me in case I have to buy someone off to let me get out. Okay. But I kind of want to distance myself from the guy who just yanked me to the side and gave me a pat down.
So do you want to go off into the little village, or do you want to hide in the brush? What do you want to do?
I kind of want to get away from the village. I want to get on the borderline so I can at least observe to see what the heck is going on. Okay.
And I'm assuming you want to hide in shadows, basically, right?
Yes. Yes. So.
Okay. So again, you're at the backside. So if you just head to the closest terrain that would hide you. That would be, again, you're on the north side of the village, or the northwest side of the village, and you can go off into the brush and into the trees. And these are all back sides of the buildings. So you're on the outskirts of the northern edge of the village. It's all back of the buildings. The buildings are all facing inward in this village. You notice there's a lot of small huts that dot the area around, and down by the lake there are huts. These are all small enough for one person or maybe a small family to live in. They're put together with, it looks like some have been put together with mud, clay. Some have been put together with wood slats. Some have been put together with grass. They seem to be built by whoever and however they could find ways and resources to build these huts. And again, the lake is large. From here, you can't see to the other side of the lake. You can't see to every edge of the lake, but it's a pretty large lake. It is definitely not a sea. I mean, it's a lake. You can tell that much, right? There's the largest building is the one he brought you to, which again is the 3-story. Looks like the most prominent, dominant building in the village that you can see from here, but it blocks your view of the interior of the village, and it blocks your view of the other side of the village. So, but that you can see, and of course, to your right, looking at the backside of the village, looking south, you can see the smoke and as that continues to burn, the crops continue to burn, and now you don't hear as much yelling and screaming. People have calmed down, and I guess now they're dealing with the fallout from this dragon attack, right? Okay.
So yeah, I want to kind of go over by the lake, the trees, that area, and just kind of observe.
Okay.
See what I can see.
Okay. So let's go back to White Wolf.
All right, you said I was surrounded by 4 of these guys.
Yeah, they're not threatening. These are clearly not warriors. These are town people, right? These are farmers. These are locals. They're dressed in rags. They're dressed in work clothes.
So nothing valuable. But I turn around and whatever, and I'm looking at the horses and whatever. I've kind of got in close to take a look at them as well as see what I'm dealing with here as far as scouting out the place.
Okay, so next to the burning building, there's a corral that they've put out, and that attached to that appears to be the blacksmith shop, right? So. And you can guess that one of these guys that's kind of encircled you is wearing a tarp. He's got tools. He probably is the blacksmith, just based on the tools he's wearing and the apron, right? And then again, if you're facing south, if you're kind of doing a 360 and looking, you can see probably 100 yards far side of the village is a large wooden structure up on stilts. It's pretty wide, but it's long. It's longer than it is wide. It's 1 story, but it's up off the ground on stilts. A halfling can walk right under this thing, right? It's up. And you see coming out of that, you can't tell what they are. They're humanoids. They're roughly your height, but they are wearing armor. They're coming out with shields and spears. Someone is ringing a bell, and you notice at areas around the village, there's these poles that stand about 5 feet. They all have bells on them. You see one over by the burning crops. There's one not far from you here. You see one in the village center. The village is only about 12 buildings big, but there's a lot of little huts. And there's a large building. These warriors, they look like army coming out of this building. They go to horses that are tied to the front of this building. They mount. They ride over. They talk to somebody who was ringing the bell. They point out the fire, and they point in the direction past you, past the crops, and these guys spur their horses and they take off. There's about 4 more, and they take off in the direction. This would be northwest, in the direction that the other ones followed the dragon in.
Yeah, as they're passing, obviously they're going to get a little. People's going to look at them. Yeah. I will slip out of the conversation. Suleiman, see you later. And slip out and start walking around over toward the blacksmith. If I see him in there, I'll still go in there and.
Yeah, well, he's one of these 4 that have surrounded you. They're all just looking at you and trying to size you up. So the others go on about their business. If you approach him.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
I wanted to go lift some stuff out of a shop if I see anything valuable. Is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
So I'm leaving them. I care not. This is a perfect distraction for me to.
Right. So you're hoping to do a little burglary? Is that it?
Yeah, thievery, stealth to get away,
okay.
And see what I can see
okay.
before I leave out here. And I want to grab one of the horses if I can wrangle one.
Okay. Right. So let's go to the guys coming down the hill. So as you guys come down the hill, you now can see closer. You can see this large, long building. You see guys come out, climb on horses, and ride off past the burning crops. As you're coming down the hill and arriving, you see Dell's character standing among 4 guys talking. It looks like they're talking. And you see villagers now kind of returning to their huts, back to their homes. Some are standing, talking, just watching their crops burn. There's just not much they can do about it. You see this lake. There's a pier that goes out. There seems to be a little hut on the pier. And you see lots of boats moored and pulled up on shore at this lake. And the lake is only about 100 yards from the village. Right? And another large 3-story building is just opposite the corral and the blacksmiths. And then there's a couple other smaller buildings. You can't really make out what those are. As you come running down, 3 or 4 people do a double take. And the ones that are surrounding you certainly hear these guys approaching. They look over at Milo and Corvish. One does like a double take, and you hear him buck out, "Ha, ha!" And they all look, and as he's pointing at Milo, as Milo's rushing in on him, and they literally panic and freak out, and they start running. They start running into their buildings. They start running across the village in utter terror, yelling,
Nice.
"Unha, unha, unha!" And they're all running like hell away from the halfling.
Nice.
That means goblin.
Goblin.
Right.
Goblin.
And so Dale, you're
Goblin,
now
kill it. Yeah.
right, and I mean literally in terror. A couple, you hear them ringing the bells on the other side of the compound, trying to rouse maybe authorities or army. Nobody's coming out of the large barracks, and they duck into their homes. You see them slamming doors.
Well, he
shuttering
obviously
doors.
runs past me, so
And
I'm
left
not
you standing there with an open corral. The blacksmith went into his little hut. You're standing now alone as these 3 rush on you. Up to you.
The bucket brigade is gone as well, right?
They all gave up after the warehouse was so hot, and it was foregone. They couldn't do anything, so they quit. They quit that, and were watching when White Wolf arrived and helped them wrangle the horses. Yeah.
Would I be able to see this going on where I'm at?
I think you probably could see them coming down when they were rushing down the hill from the same place you came from, right? You would have been able to see them. Now, once they got behind the large 3-story building, you've lost them, but you would have seen them coming out of the Great Plains.
All right. If when I see them running towards the building, can I go kind of closer where they're going to see like where the hell and how do they get there type thing?
Yeah, I mean you can go again behind these buildings through the alley, the same alleys this guy pulled you through.
Yeah.
And again, you come to the back door of the barn that guy took you through. So now you can walk through the empty barn, and you can see Dell's character standing there with these 3 rushing down as you come through the barn and walk out in front of these 4. If that's what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you all kind of coalesce together here, looking at each other, and everybody else is evacuated. You still hear somebody on the far side by the lake ringing a bell. When they realize they're alone and no one is coming, you see them scamper off northeast along the shore of the lake into one of those little huts. And you now stand here by yourself in this village with stuff burning.
come to see the show. I'm perplexed why everybody scattered and watching a halfling.
What in the 9 hells is going on here?
They're not fighting the fire. What's going on? Where did they all go?
Where'd y'all come
Corvish
from?
Corvish has got his shield kind of in front of him, and he's just kind of twirling his short spear behind him, keeping an eye on Dell's character.
Yes,
Not really sure.
And
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
I'm considering-
Bell is human and
Yeah.
or
White Wolf?
Human leather armor. He's got a short sword, a light crossbow,
Mhm.
and he's got. I don't want to elaborate any more than Jody would say.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not elf though. I thought he was elf. He's not elf. So
Yeah, I was going to say he's got one eye a different color than the other, but anyway, yeah, like a wolf. Okay. But
what's wrong
anyway,
with that?
Go with it.
No, I mean it's not a joke. You know,
It's a side effect of being teleported here.
there you go. There you
It
go.
might fade. Who knows?
He's got one eye different than the other. He just kind of looks at you and looks over there, unplussed. He's not really on guard or anything. He's like, when he says this, y'all come to see the show, and if Jose, your character answers him. Oh, you speak my language.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. Thank God I can understand you guys.
Yeah, this is. I haven't been able to understand anybody since I got here. I speak this foreign dialect.
Yeah, I
You
don't
mean these
speak
villagers?
in tones.
You mean
Which
these
is-
villagers don't speak the same language as us?
No, I couldn't get anything out of them. They were just letting the horses run away. So I tried to corral some, but they just stood there and watched the flames.
Evidently, they were not too happy that I let them out.
And do
You left them out.
you know where we
It
are?
was on fire. All I know is the building was on fire. Some gnome took off, almost ran me over, and was spilling his gold out, his loss. But one of those guys comes up and hoists me towards a tavern, and I think the guy's dead, but he was like grunting at me, pointing at this dead guy. So I don't know if it was the dragon who killed him or if there's something else going on.
Whoa, dragon?
Yeah, was a dragon that was circling around.
Yeah, y'all didn't see
You
that
didn't
over
see
the
it?
rise. Seems like their military took off after it.
Yeah.
Do you know where we are? This is a strange land.
All I know, I was fighting a damn lizard and I got sucked into this grassland hell.
A wizard.
Sounds
Oh,
familiar.
Yes, it does.
Now, Jason, does White Wolf know this too? I don't know if he's local.
White Wolf would have seen the dragon, of course.
No, I mean, as far as how he got here.
Yes, he was zapped by the same crazy wizard that at some point you walked into his chamber or his tower or
What's his
assaulted
name
him
again?
or stole something from him and he zapped you here. Yep.
What's his name again?
Dre, what did I put? I can't remember what I wrote on the Facebook group. It's not in my actual
I know,
stuff.
I
It was
think
just to
Avalon.
set up it was just to set up.
Okay.
It could be any
Damn,
crazy
that was-
wizard.
Crazy wizard.
Yeah.
That explains.
Bargo.
Yeah,
Snow-
it's Daytrodden or something. Daytrodden or something like that. Yeah. But
Yeah.
it's not relevant because you're never going to meet him again.
It seems he got the best of all of us. We're all in the same boat. The
that
farmland.
we are. That
Uh,
we are.
Barramund and Corvish, you spot in the distance now, northwest, these soldiers on horses returning. Now there's about 12. You saw 4 of them leave as you were running down the hill. You can see there's like 12 now coming back. They're galloping back. They're about a mile and a half away.
I
And
suggest
you say that you don't speak the language? I don't like the look of those soldiers coming back then.
no. I suggest we make ourselves scarce. We don't need to stand out like a sore thumb.
Let me,
What are we to fear? What have we done wrong here?
And where would we go?
Yes.
All I know is I got the major pat down because I didn't have a tattoo or something.
Yeah,
They weren't too happy.
same thing. They look at you strangely. I just mimic their language somewhat.
Yeah.
And they let me go. I guess I confused them enough, but they seem to be
Well-
really focused on this tattoo on their arm. Shit.
Where do you suggest we go?
I say we head towards those woods and hide out.
That's
Yeah.
probably a good idea because they didn't look like they've ever seen a halfling before. They seem mighty scared of me, and scared soldiers do stupid things.
Yeah. We don't need to be accosted, and I'm already walking off.
okay.
Not
Is there
sure.
Then
any particular
lead on, Milo.
Yes.
any particular area you want to head to? I mean, you
Just
can
behind
find
the
you can
close-
find cover in woods. It's just, is there any location around the lake, opposite, anywhere in particular?
Well, I'll slip around behind the hut, the nearest hut, and work my way to the woodland,
Okay.
away from the building that they got.
The barracks, away from the barracks. Okay, so north. You want to go northeast.
Yeah, hopefully someplace from which we could later watch the village to see what happens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's won't take long. About 200 yards, 300 yards. You guys are into the tree line. You've got the lake to your. If you're facing now south, you've got the lake to your left. You can see all the boats moored and the fishermen as they come in the evening. You can see the little the few buildings. You can see the barracks plainly. It's the farthest building. It's on the very far. It's removed from the village. Like the barracks is not right in the village, and you can see all of this. You just can't see. You can't see the corral and the blacksmith from here. It's blocked by the large 3-story inn, and it's clearly an inn. It's clearly where these soldiers, eat and enjoy, entertainment, etc. And you watch fishermen. They come in, they haul their fish over to the little hut. You can see them bringing in their hauls. You can see them filleting these fish, gutting these fish, and they're packing. Some of it they keep, some of it they pack. They've got wagons. As dusk begins to fall, you can sit and watch and see them hitch horses to these wagons, and some of these fishermen climb on these wagons. They spur them, and they head directly west. Again, you can only see them so far, but they're heading toward the rise of line of trees that were on the. As you had a choice, you could have ran to the line of trees, right, or they seem to be headed that way. You do at one point see one turn right, and it's heading now north, along past the burning crops, and then the others you've disappeared west. You can't see them. Nobody makes a turn to the south, and there's about 3 wagons that have packed up fish, etc. Before dark, you see a handful come out of the inn, and you see the soldiers, of course, have put their horses back at the barracks. They've gone in and out of the barracks. Some of them have changed into their normal clothes. Some have come out. They've met in the middle of the square. You can't hear any of these conversations, but you see them talking and mingling. Of course, Donnie recognizes one of these little guys as the guy that drug her over to the inn. You hear him pointing and shouting. And he's telling them the story, apparently, of the stolen gold, maybe of you, Donnie. You don't know, but you can probably guess he's talking. You can see him motioning to his left hand and, throwing his hands in the air. So he's telling looks like the sergeant of the guard about it.
Is he dressed in different clothes from the rest of the villagers?
Yes.
Or is everybody...
Yes.
Okay.
So I want to make sure I let the other people that just came into our little group know that's the guy who gave me the pat down. He does not like me for whatever reason.
Well, it seems strange that so small a village would have such a large garrison of soldiers. And they seem dressed differently. Is this an occupying force, perhaps?
Maybe. So I turned to, I believe it's White Wolf, and I go, you said they liked you? And I'm kind of like...
Well, you turned to look at me, but I've already slipped out. I've gone down there by the river. I'm looking for some fish.
Okay.
Food, because I have nothing like that,
You wanna fish, or do you want to try to steal a fish? You know the old saying.
I'm gonna try to steal.
Give a man a fish, or let a man steal a fish. I think that's how it goes.
Yeah, exactly.
Sort of.
I'm stealing. All right. Oh, I rolled a 6.
Okay.
On a D6.
You get your hand on a wooden board of about 4 of these filleted fish. And there's a fillet knife. You're able to slide and pull it down, and you've got this board of some fish. You think you've not been seen, but you don't know.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna make my way back. I don't know if you want to roll again to where they're sitting. All right, that's a 5.
Okay.
And my intent is just to get back up there and sit and eat, listen to what I got to say.
Okay. All right, go ahead. I believe Jose was going to say something there, and we cut him off.
That was Donnie who was saying that she was going to talk to White Wolf.
Okay.
Yeah. I just wanted to know, like, What did you say? Do you speak their language? You said that they seemed to be friendly towards you, whereas they were ready to come at me with a pitchfork.
No, they accosted me. I'm eating some of my fish. I'm not offering any of this crap. Yeah, I got about 4 of them laid on the board beside me. They accosted me. But the dragon came over, broke them up. Of course, I made my way down here and ran into them. So when they were coming at me again, I just mimicked their language, and they thought I understood. Lucky, to say the least, but it got me out of the situation. But she's, what's that? What do you playing a girl or
Yeah, I'm playing a girl. A girl.
But she's right. She's right. They get a little upset for some reason.
They're very, it's almost like superstitious, or they don't like outsiders.
Just mimicking. They seem to think you understand.
Yeah, well, I don't want to be saying like I'm agreeing with them and being convicted of murder, because that's what it seemed like the guy was accusing me of.
Yeah, to each their own.
Or maybe they think you're as intelligent as a parrot.
Yeah.
They can only repeat what is said to them.
So
And just eat some more fish.
as you talk and watch, you see again as it's getting a little lighter, they come around the village, and in these same posts that hang bells, alarm bells, they plant what are those, tiki torches? Basically, they plant it on top of that, light them. Right, so the village now is light. You right, you hear a little right, kinda, right, and you hear some ruckus. You see the sergeant of the guard. He returned to the barracks a little while ago. He comes out. He's dressed the same, but he's got about 6 soldiers with him. They're all armored with their gear. He meets a group that bring out a body on a stretcher in the middle of the village. The sergeant bends down. He looks this person over. They talk about it. They then hoist it. They take it out to the pier. You see him preparing it on a boat, some kind of boat. And then, of course, you hear him. You just hear him talking, and again a little bit. You can't make out what he's saying, but you know it's foreign. And then he sends his men off to look around the area. So you can see them headed in all different directions on foot, shields and spears. They're armored up, and they appear to be now heading out to investigate the area. And so there's probably 2 coming roughly in your direction. One along the shoreline, one directly into the woods that you're in, but not right at you. I mean, he'd be to your right. But and then one going along the shore. So you got 2 that are in this area coming, if I can show you here, like this here. You see him at some point put the boat in the water, and somebody rows out with another boat. And so as these guys are, and you see them light that boat on fire, and they get in and they row back with another boat, and they light that fire like a funeral. They burn, they put him out there, and they lighted obviously his little fishing boat. Right, so you've witnessed how they're giving this guy a memorial or a funeral, whoever this one guy was.
Right.
Okay.
So there was only one road leading out of this village.
They're more like tracks. They're not real roads, but there is trodden areas that appear to be used more, but they're not like actual.
Because the
roads.
soldiers took off in one direction, so they were following like one of these paths, right? But
the ones that are looking around the village?
No. Earlier you said
they just rode off across the plains after the.
Oh.
They just did a beeline chasing the dragon just across the plains. There was no.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
and they were coming back just the way they came. Yeah.
Yeah, but the gnome took off in the opposite direction.
Correct.
Basically.
Yep. They may not, and again, I think, Donnie, I may have explained this in the PBT. Nobody seemed to notice the gnome on the horse during the fire.
Yeah.
She's the only one that saw this guy. At least that she noticed among the people fighting the fire. Yeah.
Yeah. The white wolf has climbed up in a tree while they're still talking, debating, trying to get advantage of everything.
Right? And as you
so
do,
we need to either go down there and talk to them or get the hell out of here.
Yes.
Yes. I can agree with that. I'm whittling a stick while I'm sitting up in the branches.
Okay. You all can hear this guy's moving through the trees. He's obviously walking around through the trees. It's hard to tell, but he might be the one that went into the trees. Might be headed toward you. The other gentleman is coming back up the lake shore. He's not going to go around the whole lake. It's a huge lake, so he's not. He's coming up the lake shore. At some point, he stops in the mud and he looks, and you see tracks. This is the one by the lake shore. He tracks in the mud. Looks over in your exact direction there, where Milo had absconded with the fish. Came down, stole the fish, and went back up.
No, not me.
I'm not Milo. I'm sorry.
White Wolf.
White Wolf.
White Wolf. Yeah.
Wolf. I'm going to call him Wolf. How about that, Wolf?
Yeah.
Wyatt.
He doesn't see you, but he's looking like he's tracked mud, where you can see the tracks all the way up.
Yeah.
So he's tracking back towards us.
Oh, he did it with his eyes. He's standing over these muddy footprints, or where he left tracks in the shoreline mud, where he stole the fish, and he just looks up and he's standing there now looking in that direction, but he hasn't moved in your direction. You do have the one that went into the woods. You can hear him making his way through the woods towards you. It's dense. I mean, this is thick. He probably won't see you until he's right on you.
Right. Have these, I'm talking amongst ourselves here, I mean, really have, other than just abruptly searching you for tattoos, have they harmed any of you?
They just made me look at this guy that's dead, and it felt like they were asking me about him and all, and that's as soon as I could escape, I ran.
Huh.
Well, there's only one of them, and there's a lot of us.
Yes.
Perhaps we could talk to this one.
But we don't speak the language.
Oh, wait, the language. That's right.
I'm assuming some of you are watching the guy that was eye tracking you. He's now wandered over to one of these poles with the bell on it, and he's still looking in the trees, and he's reaching for the bell. He's standing there for a second. And then he sees his sergeant, not far, about 25 yards from him. He thinks better of it, and he's walking over to his sergeant.
Is there a way I can go over to that bell? Because I want to see if I can disarm that bell without being really seen. Because I feel like that's their signal to go and draw attention.
Sure.
And I want to kind of.
You've noticed there's a few scattered all over this area, but do you want to go to this closest one?
Yes.
Okay, so now you don't. You're gonna hide. You're making a sneak, hide, and shadows check. I just roll against them seeing it. So go ahead and roll. See what you do.
D6, right?
Regardless of what you do, I'm also rolling to see if they can see you.
I roll a 4.
Okay. So you scamper over to this bell. You guys are watching. She appears to be clumsy. She appears to be very easy to spot as you guys watch her do this.
Now, I'm laughing from the top there, but just to let you know, what I'm doing is seeing where everybody is across this village from a height of that tree.
Right.
To get a vantage point of how they're monitoring or if they're policing the area.
Yeah, and as you watch her clumsily run to the bell, you see the sergeant and 3 of these armed warriors headed toward your location. The guy that tracked up is talking to him, and he's pointing out the area of the trees, and they're headed over.
That's why we got company. I'm up there just whittling.
Okay, you're at the bell, and you can see these guys now turn. They're crossing. They don't appear to have seen you.
Okay. So I want to try to quietly take the bell off the rope.
Yep, that's easy enough. So you've got this bell.
So I rolled 2.
Yeah, you got it. So you've got this bell.
I want to kind of scamper over to where the lake is and just kind of place the bell into the water.
Okay.
To get rid of it, because I don't want them to find it.
All right. Okay. You hear somebody yell out, "Oh, Claude, no!" And behind you, as you set this in, you realize somebody's yelling, maybe at you, and then you guys all see them turn, seeing her at the shoreline, and they're now running toward her at the shoreline.
Looks like a little lassie is in trouble.
And the little guy who had accosted you and patted you down and made accusations is screaming in their language something. Yeah, and he's trying to run as fast as he can with them. Like that's her. That's her.
We can't leave her. She's the only one among us. Well, she's another one of us that speaks the same language. I mean, we're all in this together.
Agreed. What kind of comrades would we be?
About how far are they?
But watch out.
They're
for them.
about.
There are, how many
about.
of them?
I'm sorry, Dale. What was that?
No, I'm just while I'm up there, I'm saying I'm hearing what they're saying. So watch out for them. There are how many is out there?
Well, 4 of them. There's 3 armed with the sergeant who's not wearing his armor. They're running over to her at the shoreline, and the little guy's chasing them.
Okay.
Coming out of the brush, literally almost stepping on Corvish and Barmund is this other guard as he's making his way through the woods as he's heard their yelling. You would ultimately have surprise as he busts in on you, standing here in this dense forest. And to answer your question, Eloy, they're 40 yards from you, roughly.
Okay.
Okay. To the shoreline, I mean. She's about 40 yards to you at the shoreline.
Okay.
Yeah, better hurry up. I gave you that information as far as what's going on.
And this guy literally stumbled into you guys as he's racing through the woods to get to this yelling that he's hearing.
And we have surprise.
Yeah, because he's just running through the woods thinking he's going to come out of the woods at the shoreline and meet his comrades.
Okay. All right. So I will just stand there, block his path, but not.
What's your charisma?
My charisma is all of 9.
Okay, so no modifier. Okay.
Right.
Let's see here. Okay, he stops up. I mean, he's spooked. I mean, he literally almost runs right into you. Stops short with his spear, pulls his shield up. He's spooked. And he's and he stands back with his spear, and he's kind of keeping you at its. He's not trying to hit you. He's just keeping you at a distance. As all of you now are looking at this guy, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Donnie, are you you're standing again against the shore, and they're coming on you. They'll be here in one turn. Do you have any plans?
So by the time they found me, did I sink the bell in there?
Yeah.
Or is it still in my hand?
Well, that's up to you. If you just heard him yelling, so whether you released it or whether you, it's up to you whether you've got it.
All right. What's your charisma, Donnie?
So my charisma is 11. So
Okay. All right.
all right? I want to kind of drop the bell into the water because I want to get rid of as many bells as possible. And I want to pull out some of the coins I found, and I go like this, kind of like trying to mimic their language,
Yeah.
and then I kind of do like a horse, kind of like actually like trying to gesture like here for the horses,
Right.
like I surrendered.
Okay.
Like,
So the sergeant comes right up on you, and as he gets closer, you realize he is an elf, large ears, tight cropped cut hair, big round blue eyes. You can't tell how old these elves are, right? But he's stout. I mean, it's a muscular, stout elf, and he comes out and immediately grabs the hand that you're holding the gold in, and grabs that arm, pulls you in close, and pulls up your sleeve. Un loco! And he barks orders to his men as they surround you, and they're attempting to tie you. If you want to allow that, or do you want to fight that?
Come, Milo. We must help her.
I
At this
definitely
point,
want to fight it. I definitely want to fight and try to resist that.
Okay, so then what are you guys doing? Because you're seeing this. Plus, you've got this guy standing here in your little group.
Yeah, at this point, I run out of the woods towards her
Okay.
and the troop, and trying to get closer. And as I get closer, I have my bow in my hand, but I haven't drawn an arrow yet.
Okay.
And I yell, "Hey, you! Leave her alone!"
Okay, what's your charisma?
My charisma is a magnificent 11.
Okay. Oh my gosh. Hold on now. You know me. I love reaction charts, right? Give
Yeah.
us a clue as
Yeah.
to what's going on.
And Barrymond is running next to Milo with his spear
Okay.
and shield at the ready.
So what
'Cause
is Wolf doing?
The villagers were scared, so maybe this will work.
Right.
Okay, Wolf. Why I climbed up in a tree in the first place was to see the lay of the village.
Yeah.
And when I see everybody running toward him, I'm gonna now.
Well,
the
there's someone
armor.
also right there below you that Corvish has cut off. That's right in your little camp, right? Corvish is cut
Oh,
off.
really?
Yes.
Really?
He stumbled
Okay.
onto you guys. Corvish stopped him.
Okay. Well, to let you know, what I was doing is winding up a.
Sling?
Well, no, he's got a crossbow, a light
Oh.
crossbow.
Okay.
So I'd have been doing that in prep
Okay.
because I want to slip down. I didn't know he was there, but I want to take a shot at him. And if I don't have it, I'll crank it up.
At the guy in your camp?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And what about you, Corvish? As this guy's stepped back and he's kind of keeping you at a distance and he looks shocked. Like, where the hell did you guys, and he's seeing this number. Of course, two of you have taken off out of the bushes, right?
I'm walking his path, so
Okay.
if he tries to make a move, an offensive move towards me, an aggressive move,
Okay.
I'll react in the same. But I'm just not letting him go any further.
Yeah, okay, so right now it's a standoff. However, he's yelling. He's starting to yell, trying to get the attention of his comrades. He doesn't know what's happening down by the lakeshore. He can't see from here. And of course, do you want to go ahead and put an arrow in him?
Okay. So Cordish is there in the thing with me facing him off,
Yes.
right?
Cornish is on the ground, kind of blocking him.
Yeah. I mean, he's focused on Cornish. I was wanting to slip out of there, out of the camp and get down to the village, but yeah, this dude's in my way. So I'm going and shoot at him. All right.
Okay.
Oh man, no, that was a 4.
Okay, so
Here
you
we
miss
go.
you
Yeah.
miss so bad. He doesn't
Come
even
on,
he doesn't
man.
even hear it.
Damn
It's
it.
like it goes right by him. He doesn't know he's been assaulted, right? He's still looking at Chorus. He hasn't noticed this. Okay, so you guys
I'll
bust
pull out
out.
another bolt.
Eloy, I rolled a pretty bad reaction to your yelling.
Yeah.
They all turn, right? They're trying to tie you up. You're literally on the edge of this water, saying no, you're not. So we can. So let's all declare action. They are turning to see Barrowman,
Milo.
right?
Oh, sure.
They don't appear to have even noticed you yet, Halfling, right? Because you're right now almost hidden to them, right? But they do see this big guy in armor. They hear a voice, but they haven't attributed it to you yet. So declaration of action. They appear to be they're gonna try to apprehend you, Donnie, right? So they're gonna try to grapple you and apprehend you. The sergeant is looking on now at this Barrowman guy barreling down on him, and the other guard. So there's two trying to apprehend you, and these two are turning to face Barrowman. They're not going to attack yet, right? But they are trying to tie you up. So declare your actions, and then we can roll initiative.
I want to since they're kind of trying to tie me up. Obviously, I dropped the few coins that I had in my hand.
Right.
So I just took off like 3 of them because I wasn't offering all of them.
Right.
But I want to kick at one of the guards that is trying to tie me up.
Okay. Now, kick to hurt him or kick to get him away from you?
At this point, I want to hurt because they're obviously nothing I do will appease them. So I'm doing some damage.
Okay. Okay. So we're gonna kick one. All right. What are you doing there, Milo?
And they can't see me because I'm still in the woods. Is that the deal?
In a way, but they're also not looking for. They're just not looking for someone short in the dark. Remember, we're now in dark. I mean, it was dusk.
Oh, it's dark.
So we're getting into the dark. You got torches lit around the village, but this is pretty dark. Yeah. So you're almost invisible to them in a way.
Hmm. I don't know. I was hoping they would see me, right? But and they don't have any torches themselves.
No.
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 Yeah, this is no time to build fires or anything. So.
So do you want to spend your turn getting their attention, making sure they see you?
Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I'll try to get him to notice me, right? Maybe climb up on top of a rock or something,
Okay.
and I keep yelling at them, let her go, let her go.
Okay.
See if I get any sort of reaction. I'm hoping for the same kind of reaction as in the village, but if it doesn't, hey, that's what it is.
All right. And Barramond, what are you doing? Is these guys turn toward you while they're trying to apprehend your acquaintance? I wouldn't call her your friend yet, but acquaintance.
Yeah.
Well, Bearman, obviously, okay, the elephant in this room is that we're all, except for Dell, of course, we're all trying to avoid killing anybody yet. So Bearman knows that, he's an experienced campaigner, that if you kill somebody, things then get really serious. So basically, he's barreling down towards them. His intention is running in a beeline towards the guys that are trying to apprehend Sotis, and he plans to shield bash anybody who steps in his way.
Awesome. Okay. All right. What's your charisma, by the way, Barrowman?
It's a whopping
I was
7.
hoping for you to ask, but it's a 7 because he's a
Yes,
surly
I
old
knew it.
campaigner.
So none of you actually have negative modifiers, which is good, right? So
No.
Yeah.
that's good. Okay.
Oh, mercy.
Okay. So this is interesting because they reacted
Unhand her.
They reacted to her with hostility. Excuse me, negatively. They reacted to Barrowman positively. So the sergeant and the guard that was looking on Barrowman, they're raising their hands, like, oh, our brother, and they're speaking some gibberish you don't understand, Barrowman, right? However, they're still trying to tie her up. So we need to make the roll for you to kick them, and then they're going to roll to try to grapple you. So let's roll initiative just for this little encounter.
All right.
And you get to add your dex to it, by the way.
5, so 6.
So you do get to go first if you want to kick this guy.
Okay. 12.
Hold on, I gotta find my. Whoops. That's what I get, right? I should have all these charts on a cheat sheet. That's what Eloy would have, a cheat sheet for all this stuff. I know Eloy.
Yes.
Let's see here. Thief 3. Okay, you rolled what?
12.
Okay, so you kick at him. He pulls his foot away, and as he's trying to wrestle you here. So I'm going to roll to hit for both of these guys. I'm going to just add 1 to their to hit. So they're going to work in unison to apprehend you. So it's just a 1 roll to hit. I'm going to give him a +1 for a second guy helping. Okay, and they can't get a hold of you, right? You're squirming, you're kicking, and they can't quite get their hands on you. Meanwhile, Barman, these guys are sticking their hands up. This guy, and he's not in armor. He doesn't even have a weapon on him. This guy is clearly their sergeant. He's trying to stop you, slow you down. And back in the woods, of course, you're in a standoff. Dell's character put an arrow into the darkness, didn't hit anything. Corvish what do you want to do here?
Well, what is this guy doing?
He's still yelling. He's still yelling like he's trying to draw attention. He doesn't know what's happening down by the lake.
Right.
So he's just yelling like he's trying to.
I'm barring his path. That's all I'm doing.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So at this point, he starts to maybe back away, like he wants to get out of this situation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to pursue him or let him back away?
I want to let him back away.
Okay. All right. And Wolf, what are you doing? Well, this guy's back into the woods.
All right. No. Where am I at? Am I behind him?
No, you're in the tree, right? You were overlooking the lake and the village. He banged into your group, so he's like diagonally 12
to the
feet
right.
below you. Right. To the right. Yeah.
Okay. Explains why I couldn't hit him as side profile. All right. Well, I see Cornish walking up on him.
Corvish, he's not a foul.
I slide down the tree, Corvish, and I want to work my way. If he's backing away from Corvish, I want to work my way behind him. All right.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll be doing.
Okay.
Silent.
Okay. So make a roll, and we're going to modify for the darkness.
2. Well, I'm a rank 2 as far as the thievery skill.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
All right.
You rolled a 2. Okay. So as far as you know, you were successful. Whether he sees you or not, totally different animal. Okay. Right. He doesn't appear to notice you though as you're working away behind him, as he's backing away from Corvish. Okay, back to our lake. Okay, so you were yelling and screaming, and at this point, they seemed to be totally focused on this large man with his shield out front coming toward them. And you are yelling, right? So let's make a roll here. Go ahead and give me a save check using your charisma, Eloy, as a modifier. If you don't have one, just make a save check. This is the basic save roll above your number. You're muted. You're muted.
I'm looking for a what above the regular saving throw or above or below the charisma. What is it? Then?
Oh no, the regular saving throw. Add a charisma modifier if you have one.
Oh, okay, no,
Right.
no, that's okay.
So you're rolling high.
So it's a 3. So no.
Okay, so they still are. I mean, Barramond's presence is what they're ultimately
it's
concerned
their
about. He might have
focus.
even gone past you, obscuring you even further from them. Right? Okay. So that again, their hands are up. They're declaring action here. It's just to engage in the conversation with you. Right? They don't know you from Adam Barramond at all. Again, they're going to attempt to tie you up, Donnie. That's intention. You still gonna fight, Donnie? You're muted. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna still fight. So, you said that the first time they couldn't, get and tie me. So I assume I have enough, wiggle room to pull out my dagger.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. They haven't got a hold of you. They were coming around you to apprehend you, and yep.
Okay.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna pull out my dagger and kind of not go in attack, but kind of making a threatening
Yes.
kind of gesture, like back, and I'm screaming at them. I know they don't know what I'm
Right.
saying, but I'm screaming back
Yeah.
off.
You're giving him one of those back off. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
And halfway as I'm yelling at them, I realize, oh, they can hear me, so I'm just like, like.
So their response at that it literally is they kind of step back and smile. They're all elves, by the way. They all look like they could share. They all look like they're close enough, resemble. They could be almost brothers. They're not, but they all are very similar in heritage and species.
We all know elves look alike.
Right,
So.
exactly, right. So I don't want to be racist here, but they're all elves look alike. No. So they step away and smile, and one pulls down his shield, the other one pulls out his sword, and they smile and they're kind of laughing, like what do you think you're going to do with that? And they're not talking to you. And one actually speaks in the language to the sergeant as the sergeant's stopping Barrowman. He looks, and at this point he puts his hands in the air and he says something to his men like settle down, right? He's telling everybody to settle down. Right, and he's barking this in their language. And these guards kind of they stay defensive, so you can't stab them, but they're not right.
They're not coming at me.
And he lowers his hands, Barrowman, like open palm.
Mm-hmm. When I see that, I kind of put my weapon kind of away and put my hands up, kind of like, okay, we've come to terms. I'm not attacking you. You're not attacking me. And I want to look at the guy who was trying to like draw their attention.
Right.
And I'm like, help me. Like at this point, like.
Right. Okay. And Dell, you have successfully gotten behind this guy, but he's kind of moving now at an angle as he sidesteps, like he wants to turn and run. He's making sure Corvus isn't coming after him. He's backpedaling, and once he realizes Corvus ain't going anywhere. He starts to turn like he wants to run, and you're right.
I'm winking at Corvish before he does this. I mean, if Corvish sees me,
he's turned his back to you as he's headed toward the village in the woods. Right. Not Corvish, the guard.
So you're trying to get my attention, are you?
No. Well, I'm saying if the guy's backing up, and you see me, I'll wink at you and question, what do you want me to do? Kill him?
Well, he may. I don't know. Do you want to see him? But
Corvish,
you're successfully hid, so I don't know if Corvish could.
Yeah,
see
what's
him.
my chances of seeing him?
Okay. No. I wanted to be directly behind the guy as he was backing up.
Right.
So if Corvish is focused on this guy, he should see me come into as he backs up, because I'm going to have my sword out
right
to kind of gig at him and let him know something's up, and then and then put my hand over him and wrestle him down.
Yeah.
But you said he's already turned heel and started to run.
No. He's backed
Backing
up.
off.
So
I want him to back right up into me.
You had to circle behind him, but you're just reflecting whatever, paralleling how he turns. So you're still behind him. It's just
Yeah, I'll put my hand over his mouth and put my knife to his throat. Where he shut up.
Okay, and that's surprise. You don't have to you're not trying to hurt him, so I'm not going to make you make an attack roll or anything. And you're surprising him, but that you can do. Okay.
Corby should see that, and that's when I'll wink.
Right. Okay. He stops. And he holds his shield and his spear out away from his body, but he's not dropping them. But he's out away as you've got him by the neck. And Corvish, of course, he said you've seen this.
I've seen this. All right.
Yeah.
I just shake my head. All right.
I wink with
Very
my
well.
white eye.
With your white eye, yes.
Yeah.
The blind one.
All right.
Yeah.
The one that kind of floats around and you never can.
That's it.
Okay. Well, seeing as you've got the situation under control,
Yeah.
I will slip into the shadows, and I have to leave right now, guys. So
Okay.
I'll just kind of
Quiet
you got it.
Hide out. Okay.
Yeah, you've got it under control. All right.
He's
Okay.
that bio break.
So, I have to stop now, so I'm just gonna kind of.
Okay. So we'll just assume you hide out somewhere in the woods for a while.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, okay.
Well, thanks,
Thank you so
Todd.
much for the game. Well,
Thank
thanks
you,
for
my
having
friend.
me. Okay.
Yep.
And I'll see you next time.
All
All right.
right.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. So, you guys are now facing this sergeant who appears to be trying to accept Barrowman as in a negotiative posture, right?
Okay.
And again, if you're still trying to get his attention, he hasn't yet noticed you, Eloy.
No. When I see him talking to Berman, I just stand there and watch, just making sure. If anything goes weird, I'll draw an arrow and help him. But
Okay.
I'm gonna stand still and see how this turns out.
Okay. So he approaches. Barrowman, you're probably. They're big for elves, but you still might be bigger. I don't know how tall you are.
Yeah, Bearman's about 6'2", 200 pounds.
Yeah, so you're still about 4 inches taller than this guy, probably, right? And he walks up, smiles, and again, big ears, tight cropped hair. They have large eyes, and he says "Un Sulan," and he continues, but he refers to you as Un Sulan, and then Unsu, and tries to talk to you in this gibberish.
So Barrowman, so what I do is I stick the reinforced butt of the spear into the ground, so it's standing by me, so I release it. So I keep my shield at open hand, and I point at Sotis, and I tell her, she's with me. I signal. I point at her, and she's with me.
And that's when he
No fight.
realizes, he looks, he gets this kind of confused look, and he says, "Oklo no," and he smiles. He looks over at her, "Oklo no," and he pats his arm, and then he looks at you, and he shows his bare arm, which has got this tattoo that changes. Un hotat.
So, obviously, Berman is dressed in like a commoner's version of plate, right? Full suit of chain,
Right.
with some reinforcing plates. So he's got a full sleeve and a
Sure.
gauntlet,
Sure.
but he still goes, no.
Oklo no. All right.
I'm from far.
He nods, and then he says something to his men, and they stand at ease. He points at you, Sutis, and he basically nods for you to come over to Barrowman. Come
To
over
go
here.
next. Go ahead. I do it, but again, my hands are up, kind of showing respect, and I'm nodding, like gesturing, like I'm going there.
Non-threatening, right?
Yep.
Okay. And then he pats you on the shoulder, Barrowman, and he nods toward the end to the big building, and he says something like "Come," in this short unka language. So you guys kind of see, and he tells his guards lead the way, and they lead the way, and he's hoping you're going to come with him to the end. Meanwhile, Eloy, what are you doing as all this is transpiring kind of in front of you, right?
Yeah, well, it seems to be going well for our side, so I think I'll stow my bow on my back and cautiously walk towards Berriman, right, with my arms like this, because everything seems to be going just fine. So. We'll see what happens when I step like next to him and they get a good look at me.
So he kind of does a double take back at you like you're a kid, and then he says something, smiling at Berriman, "Ulocha, ulocha," and then he stumbles away as he realizes you're not a child, right? Ha, unsa, unha, and they all stop and look, and he's like, "Oh, unha," and he begins to point at you, Milo. His demeanor changes a bit, but he's not, he's a warrior. He's not overly threatened, right? But it's clear that they aren't accustomed to seeing you, or they're not, or there's something about you they absolutely don't like, right? So he stops the walk over to the end and is pointing at you. He's arrested all this motion and is pointing. Now, Del, what are you doing while all this is happening over in the village?
Kind of surprised that Corvin just backed up into the woods, and out of the shadow. My eyebrow cocks a little bit, and then so I got the dagger at the guy's throat,
right?
And I'm kind of tilting and pushing my arm. Yeah, that's what I got, like down, motioning,
right?
So down, and then kind of pushing him like that.
Right.
See if he understands and comprehends. Go down.
Yeah, he basically does what Berriman did. He drives his spear butt into the ground, and he goes down to one knee and another. But he's keeping that shield in this arm. But he's driven that spear into the ground, so it's standing. But he's on his knees. Okay. And you can feel him shaking a little bit. You can tell he's probably young. He's sweating profusely. You might feel him. He's clearly scared, clearly nervous.
I'm pushing him forward and down to where he's laying down, face down.
Okay.
I don't want him to see me. In other words.
Okay.
So yeah, whenever he does that.
Yep. Yeah. He doesn't want to have his throat slit.
Yes. I release it as I'm grabbing his spear and putting the point in his back. Now wait a minute. How far away is my pack? Because I got rope in it, basically. Rope in it?
I don't know. Where did you put your pack?
Well, it'd have been right where I was eating at.
Oh, 10 feet?
Yeah. Okay.
10 feet, maybe? Yeah.
All right. I would take the spear and see if I can grab the pack and pull it my way.
Okay.
All right.
Yep.
Fish out the rope.
Okay.
And cut off a section of it and bound his hands behind him.
Okay.
Right? Down.
Yeah, he doesn't resist you. He allows you to tie him. He tries speaking. He's speaking to you in a very hushed tones, very nervously speaking his gibberish. And you've now heard this. It's been hours you've heard this gibberish. Your particular characters heard this from the camp, from the logging camp, or the forest that were failing trees. You've heard this multiple times. You've been out here 8 hours and you've heard this. Make a D12 12 roll for me, Del. As this kid's whispering in his language to you.
3.
Okay, you're starting to get used to hearing some of this, but you still don't quite know what he's saying. But you're beginning to recognize
patterns.
There's patterns. There's certain words and phrases. You're starting to maybe decipher this.
Well, I want to tie him up, back him up to a tree, tie him to the tree.
Okay.
Blindfold him with something. If there's a strip of cloth around,
sure. I mean, you can tear that off his tunic or remember.
Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
So I'm just bounding him and gagging him.
Okay.
And I don't know how long this is going to take or what's going on down there, but after that, I will You get a vantage point of the town. I guess climb back up in the tree to see what's going on. That's where.
And you see they're all headed toward the big inn, and they've stopped as the sergeant now is pointing at Milo and asking questions with a raised voice. You can't again understand it, and we'll just assume Corvish is watching your hostage. How about that?
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Okay, so back to you guys. So you're now Milo. He's literally addressing you directly. He's pointing at you, and he's calling you Unha.
And so
He never asks you Unhata. He never points to his forearm with you. He never asks you to show your forearm. Right? He's done with everybody else.
Yeah, I noted that. I seem to be getting different reactions from everybody else. And so I just show him my hands, and I turn to Beramond and I say, "Shake my hand." And
Beramond gives him a soldier's, salute, like to the forearm.
Oh, nice. Yeah. He steps back and cocks an eyebrow and a lip, and then he slowly circles you, Milo, if you let him. And he grabs your lapel and he flips it and he pulls on your like jerkin, he fiddles with your pack. He pulls a little arrow out, and inspects it. And he's shaking his head the whole time. He comes back around to face you, smiling with one of your arrows, and it's like he's in absolute disbelief. He's marveling at this, and then he hands it back to you, and he speaks again directly to Barman in a language you can't understand, and then says, he speaks again and says, "Follow me," basically, as you guys follow toward the inn. Okay. If you want to go, of course, right?
I say let's follow, because for whatever reason now he's like accepting us and he's not being hostile, so maybe we can find out what's going on.
Right.
Yeah, we seem to be making some progress, definitely.
So as he leads you to the front doors, now you've lost sight of them as they go around this big 3-story inn. You can't see them from your tree, Wolf.
Yeah. But I see all of them went into the inn, right? So
well, they're headed. Again, you lost sight of them, but it looks like they're headed. They're certainly in front of the inn. But you don't know if they went in the inn or if they're headed. I mean, there's the inn, the barn, and the burned out warehouse. So the only way there could be going is to that inn.
Okay.
Right. There's a back door on the inn.
Well, I slide down the tree and walk back up there and nod to Corvish.
Okay.
He made any move to leave. I'll make sure he don't have nothing else hidden on him, and I'll start patting him down. The guy's blindfolded; he can't see me.
Right.
I'm telling Corvish this, but I'm also trying to lift any kind of coins that may be usable here where mine aren't.
Right. He has a purse. It jingles a little bit. There's a little weight to it. And he's wearing very, very well, finely detailed armor, very intricate leather, fairly thick but very well crafted. He has a shield that's of quality make. It's all very light, and it's all very flexible but yet dense, right? So it's pretty nice stuff. I mean, this is high quality stuff. His spear is fantastic. Quality. There appears to be either they are either good at crafting these things or they've got the money to craft or purchase the top stuff.
Okay. That's fine. I get the spear away from where I can't grab it.
Right.
I mean, obviously, Corvish is looking at that, and I kick the sword over there because he may want those. I don't know about him.
Right.
But anyway, while I'm patting him down, trying to get the coins out of him, I'm sifting a little, like around him and around his leather, whatever like that. I'm patting him down. As I'm doing, I'm putting a little powder in there. All right. So it's itching powder is what it is. So anyway, and then I'll slip out back and Just see what's keeping them, Corvish. And I'll slip out there, and I'll make my way down to the area.
Okay. Now, do you want to go through the back door of the inn, or do you want to go around the front where there is a back door on this inn?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll be going toward it to find out what exactly is going on.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to see if I can overhear anything, basically.
Okay. So he stops, and he calls to one of his men, and this guy approaches. This is all happening before you actually go into the door of the inn, and he says something to him in their language, and you see him sprint out across, get on a horse, and he spurs a horse, and he heads off somewhat southwest into the darkness, to which would have been across the plains to there's nothing there as you came down and you saw this toward that copse of trees on the ridge line, and he spurs off and rides off past the torches into the dark, and he nods and laughs and motions you to come in. When he comes in, especially as Milo enters the tavern, everybody gasps, stands up, they push away from their chairs and tables, and he says something to everybody in. And they all hustle out the front door, and some head around the bar and out the back of the building, again into another hallway, maybe out a back door. But now it's just you, the sergeant, his 3 guards, and the little man that had accused, or again, you think Donnie had accused you of killing that person. He's the only one left in here, and they have a long conversation. Now, I want everybody. Well, at least, Donnie, you need to make a D12 check for me, because you've heard this language now, too, for quite some time today.
Okay. You said D12?
Yes, please.
6.
Okay, so again, you're starting to pick up some. It still sounds like a lot of gibberish to you, but you're starting to pick up certain key phrases and certain things they say a lot, etc. Then he motions for you to sit, and the little man goes into the back, comes back with some tankards and a plate of what looks like beans and bread, and he places it about, and he motions. He sits down and he drinks and eats, and he motions for you to join him. He tells his men, he barks an order at his men. His men sit down at a table away, and they're eating as well. And this guy whispers something in the sergeant's ear. He responds in a negative way, and he barks at him by, at this point, Un Logos. You've heard this 5 or 6 times. You probably can tell his name must be Un Logos, because he said it. Un Logos goes, Un Logos, get us food. Un Logos, right? So he storms out and goes sits behind the bar. And he doesn't speak again to you while he's eating.
Yes, I dig in, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I dig in with courtesy. You know.
Yeah.
I kind of want to make sure I make a point to notice, like, I'm trying to gesture in a way of thanks. So, like, holding up the bread, holding up the thing, giving a nod type thing. And I'm going to say thank you in my language, trying to see if they can pick up on our language as well. Not only are we, but, like, kind of thank you type thing.
He smiles, looks up, raises an eyebrow, and he goes, un suland, un thakua. And he, almost like he recognizes your cadence and the thing you're saying. And he nods at you and smiles, and he finishes off the tankard, slams it down, and refills from this larger carafe. And this is like a sweet wine if you drink it. Not bad. It doesn't give you a sense of much alcohol, but it's kind of a sweet tasting wine. The food, again, is just straight beans and bread, right? No greens on this, no meat on this, right?
Yeah. We'll accept their hospitality.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
When he finishes, he gets up and he goes over and he coaxes away from the bartender, Un Locos. He gets a pipe and he packs it and he sits down, smokes it, and he sits with his feet up. He sits with his butt on the bar and his feet on a chair, and he just watches you all as you sit around the table. I don't know what you want to do in the meantime, but it's apparent that he's waiting for something.
So, should we even attempt to make a gesture towards his tattoo? Like, what's this about? I'm thinking we should ask to kind of find out more about what these tattoos are, even if it's through grunts and stuff. Maybe we can pick something up.
You might.
Because I feel like it's like a tribal versus tribal, like which side, what signia, you have.
Yeah, maybe they're trying to identify if you're friendly or
Yeah.
not based on the markings. So.
And White Wolf, you about 20 minutes ago, you saw people evacuate quickly the inn out the back door, and then if you peeked around the front, you saw people leaving. They all ran off to their huts, to their fishing vessels. And so you've been out here now kind of in the dark, I suppose, about 25 minutes.
Yeah, I wanted to go into the back door. I'm going to be pilfering and lifting anything of value.
Okay.
Until I get to the point to where I'm overhearing what's going on in there. All right.
Right.
And if I've been in there enough to see them kick back and smoking pipes and passing the breaking bread,
yeah,
I'll walk into the place.
So if you go in the back door, it takes you into a hallway which leads into a kitchen and storage area, right?
Yeah.
So you would have worked through that. It's empty. As you peek around into the bar, there's somebody sitting right there at the door. This is and then of course you see this sergeant guy with it sitting on the bar, facing into the inn. You can't see your friends; they're blocking your view. But
okay,
you could walk into this door, but it'll obviously.
So the sergeant's sitting there, right? Is he relaxed?
Yeah, he's smoking a pipe and he's just watching the party of people.
I want to slip in behind him, and I'll put my dagger to his back at that point in time. All right.
All
right. I rolled a 4.
You feel his muscles stiffen up.
Now, when I say I roll a 4, because I got two in thievery, does it adjust? Should I say like up or down?
You have what in thievery?
A 2.
Yeah, so you need to roll a 1 or a 2 to be successful. So a 4 means you fail.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's all the 2 means. It just means a 1 or a 2. 2 out of 6 chance. So 4 just means you didn't surprise him. But he does tense, and you hear him say something. You guys, he projects his voice towards your table, and he nods back. And the little bartender stands up, and he's looking right at you, Dale, because you had to go right by him to stick this dagger in his back. And he's looking at you. He's a little old man.
Okay, and I can't see them from here.
I'm sorry. What did you say? I'll get Dale first, since you're right in his system. Wolf, what did you say?
Can I see them? Because I thought
once you stepped up to, you can see over the bar and see them sitting at a table. They've obviously got plates and they're eating and drinking.
Okay. When he stiffens up a little bit, and I'll look over there and I say, "Is everything okay here?" And they're obviously dropping their meals and everything like that.
Right. You're saying this to your party.
Yeah, I'm saying that to y'all.
So I lift up the plate and food, and I go, unlike some who don't share their food, this gentleman here, Elf, seems to not mind giving us some of his meal. And
I pat him on the shoulder and say, Suul, and I'll pull, because I just kind of barely stuck him. And then I'll walk around him casually.
I go, granted, it's not fish, but it's food. And I eat kind of snarky.
I'll go, Suul, and gesture myself to them.
Right.
And
I'll
kick my foot up on the table and pull some food over and start eating.
He walks over and he sits down at a chair there. The other 2 guards have started to raise because you surprised everybody when you walked in the back door. He motions, he says something, sit down. And then he looks at you and says, Unsulen, and he shakes his head. And he looks at Barrowman, Unsulen, shakes his head at Barrowman.
Yeah, I kind of nod this time. I think I know what he means.
Right.
I just reach over and poke the meat with the dagger and start eating.
A bean. There's no meat, man. It's a bean skin. I'm still traumatized over the lack of meat. I know Jason's still trying to eat healthy foods.
I put the P's on the end of the dagger blade. Yeah.
So another 45 minutes or so, you hear bootsteps hit the wood, step into the inn, and that young warrior that he'd sent on the horse comes busting in, sweating, and right behind him is an orc in robes,
Oh,
and
Wow.
it's a female, and she comes in tucked in, and she looks up, she pulls her robe down. And she speaks to the sergeant. Sergeant stands up, comes over, and they speak in hushed tones. And then the orc comes over to your table, walks around, stops, and stares at the halfling. And then she says, in your language, you are outsiders.
yes.
Indeed.
We are off the table at this point.
Okay.
We do not know where we are.
You will find out soon enough. You are on the Island of Suul. I too was once sent here, like you.
By some wizard?
Yes, they trodden. And she speaks with a deep voice. It's obviously melodic, though. There's a female edge to it. You can tell she's a female. She says something in the language of the sergeant, and waves them. And the two guards. He then barks orders. The two guards get up and leave. The little old man comes over and sits down, and he speaks to her. And then she looks at Sute, and she says, "They think you have stolen the town's treasury and killed the cook."
I speak up right away. I go, no, it's that gnome that nearly ran me over. I was collecting it, and at this point, I hand her all of the 20 remaining gold, kind of, and I'm like, I was collecting it because I saw he was dropping it, but it was a gnome, and I tried to describe what he looked like to her.
Was this gnome on a horse?
Yes, nearly ran me completely over while I was trying to see the other horses.
He rode to the south. Almost rode us down too.
She appears to just translate and speak directly to the sergeant everything you are saying. Then he asks a question. And then she turns back and says, he suggests that you learn the language, and he suggests that you think seriously about the Unhu Ta, which is the magical tattoo, which I can do, but I don't do without a fee. And then he looks at Sutis and says he knows of this person you speak. He knows this of this person you speak, and he says he's going to investigate further this gnome. For now, he will accept your repayment of the gold you found, and he will accept your story. But he asks that you, until you are tattooed, you do not leave. You do not leave this village. This is Pilton, is the name of the village.
So I turn to the orc because I want to see if this is friend or foe before I get a tattoo, because I don't want to get in a tattoo war.
Yeah.
Right.
What does that tattoo mean?
So, like, I want to find out why she was banished. Was she like an ally to the wizard and just ticked him off, or is she like trying to kill him? Like, I want to get the mental.
Right. So are you asking her directly why she was sent here?
Yeah. Yes.
She says, our tribe, this was a very long time ago. Our tribe was in a battle, and he worked for somebody who ultimately teleported me, as well as some others that had particular skills with magic he did not want to deal with. That is why I am here.
So okay, so not foe, not necessary friend. So I go into.
Are you asking what I am to these people? And she nods at the elf.
No, I was more asking, were you a foe or a friend to the wizard? Because I
Oh, we
want to
were
make
no,
sure
we
I'm
were
not-
by no means friends. We were in war with him.
All right, war with him, ally to me. Okay, so which
Ah.
tattoo is good and which tattoo is bad?
Oh, I do
I
not.
wanted
Go ahead, Milo.
What is the nature of these tattoos? Why are they so important here?
She says something to the elf sergeant and the barkeep. The barkeep seems content with your story. He jumps up, and so she then sits comfortably, and they bring her refreshments, and she drinks, and she looks and she says, "You are in Unamine," and she points to the sergeant, and she says, The Unamine are him."
Mhm.
Right? So again, they don't refer to him as elves. This is Unamine. Unamine demands these. It's called right of ownership, identification, and your holy commitment to the goddess Amaste, and you have to have these tattoos in the land of Unamine to have these rights. I am a no loke. I have the some of the lone magic that exists that can do this for the Unamine.
Well, as they say, when in Unamine, and then White Wolf just kind of flops his arm down where he'd seen.
Now she raises an eyebrow, leans in again. She knows they can't understand, but it's as if she wants to make sure he can't understand her. And he says, "You are not required by Unamine law to be tattooed. If you were an elf, you would be required."
But he wants me to get tattooed to show I'm friend, not foe, because I'm under suspicion of being a murderer.
Yeah.
Yes, let me.
White just leans back and he starts eating again.
She looks at you and she says, "It is more insidious than that, Suti. Once you are tattooed, I can track you."
I was going to ask what benefits this tattoo had. Is it only you who could track us, or is it anybody else with one of the tattoos?
Any no loke can track you. Other orcs like me, and certain of the Unamine high priests can track you. But you are in Unamine.
So, question. Are you able to make one that looks like a tattoo but faking it? And I kind of wink and pull out my 4 regular gold coins to kind of show.
She accepts these gold coins and nods and gives you a little smile. She does inform you in the Unamine territory, without rights of ownership, you can be made a slave, executed for ownership of livestock, horses, having children. You have no right to responsibility to any life without this tattoo.
Without it?
Right. And elves must have it, or they are considered traitors to the goddess Amaste. So elves, it's very dangerous. And you are known in this country as an Auk, which is an outcast, an outsider. That's why they call you Unok.
I think I'm gonna have to get the real deal then. So I just stick out my arm and go, just do it.
The ritual is far more intense than that. I will prepare for tomorrow at midnight. The ritual is far more intense. I can't just put this upon you. So we can arrange that.
This ought to be fun.
This goddess, what does she stand for?
She stands for law, rules. Right. Matter of fact, let me tell you their motto, the Unlok, in my where's my notes, right?
So what
The
happened
servant
to
of
them?
Their motto is holy rule, holy law.
So what happens to my arm, say, and I'm asking her this, if I happen to have my fingers caught in someone's pocket or bag, by no fault of my own, and happen to do something that appears to be unlawful?
Oh, all this does is it as you see, and he motions for the sergeant to come over, and she says, "Oh, unhotat," and he lifts his arm and shows it, and as you see it change runes, this rune here, and she uses her magic to slow it. This rune is his name, and then she waves her hand, and it changes. This rune is his right to ownership, and then she waves it again, and this rune is his commitment to the goddess Amaste. We can track it, but it does not track what actions he takes.
Okay, I'll set up the I go forward with the tattoo, like.
And so she tells this to the sergeant, and he smiles and nods, and the bartender jumps up, scampers over, and he smiles and nods, and they say something to her, and she looks back and she says, "Now they feel they can trust you because if indeed you have lied about the gnome, we can track you." They are
Here. I banged my tankard on there and then lifted out to the bartender who just came rushing over there like, Phil?
Yeah, and he picks up whatever is around and just fills it without looking at you. Right.
Sorceress, forgive me, but this place was attacked by a dragon? Is this common?
Ball. Yeah, that was Ball. B-A-L-L is how you spell it, Ball.
That's the fires.
That is another whole thing you will learn on the island. You are Suulan, by the way. Suulan are humans. And you, little one, the halfling, you are immune to this magic. We couldn't tattoo you if we wanted to, so do not be caught with horses, livestock, children. Not in Unamine, they will kill you.
I see. Is this why they fear me?
Oh, they fear you because they hear stories of your kind. You are a myth. They hear stories from the Devil's Canyon of your people, and these people are feral cannibals. So they've been told since they were child of the evil little half man that resides in the canyons.
I've always told you you look like a goblin, my friend.
So if they see him with me, will they think he's an ally? Like I'm talking to will they see that he's with me and he'll be safe?
Oh, he is under no threat, but people will cower and probably fear him until they learn he's no threat. This is why the sergeant. Most educated people don't believe the boogeyman stories, but these peasants and these locals, they definitely will fear him.
I turn to the halfling and go, "Make sure you at all times have a chunk of meat on you."
You a little bit in laughter. Why? He says, "I can imagine what they're going to do with that gnome when they catch him with that horse."
Well, perhaps if I learn this language, then I might be able to convince them that I'm not a savage.
Good luck with that. I've seen you eat. Now, sorceress, do these Unamin have any enemies?
The Unamine, the priesthood. The Unamine believe in holy rule, the divine rule, the priest's rule. They are currently neutral between the war between the Balgard and the Suulan. And she leans in and she says, "But don't be fooled. They want desperately to keep the war going. The more unstable the country gets, the greater chance the Unamine have to become the sole authority."
So, who are the Balgard?
The Balgard are the dwarves that revere Baal.
The dragon.
Yes. They call them the great treasure beasts. And they collect hoard.
This dragon has a hoard in it. I do like with mine.
Oh, the Baal. And in payment for collecting treasure and hoard for Baal, Baal helps them in the war against King Suul.
And why would the dragon attack an Unamin village?
Great question. The Baal certainly. He may have just been having a good time. That is a remarkable question that only Baal could answer. There's nothing of value here.
It sounds like this
You telling
place might be a good place for us to sell our sword arms, Milo.
Yeah.
Oh, which reminds me, they've got good weaponry. I tied up a boy up in the encampment. Corvish is watching him now.
We better get him released and get Corvish some of these beans. Although I don't know if that's a good idea. Last camp.
By the looks of you, I'm sure you could use some weaponry there. What about the blacksmith shop?
What about it?
Is he skilled in crafting such weaponry? Did I pull off the boy up front?
She looks around the inn, points it
Well,
out.
He's
She's-
okay.
Right? She looks around, points at the quality of work, the condition the little village was in, and she says, "What do you think?"
I didn't say much.
So-
Oh, I would suggest, unless you have a horse that needs to be shoed or a wagon that needs to be fixed or no, I would not count on him
Who
to.
makes such weaponry?
That would be the Unamin, the craftsman at Mount Un.
Mount Un. And the soldiery here. They're supplied by Mount Un.
They are Unamin, so they are supplied by the high priests.
My apologies. There's one important question. This one must be getting to me. What is your price for placing the tattoo on the lady?
Well, she's paid me 4 gold.
Oh, she paid. Okay, I missed
Yeah, I
that. Sorry.
paid her.
I cut out.
Oh,
Okay.
But she tells you it's the reality is what she leans in again and makes sure the sergeant's smoking his pipe, not really listening. But it is illegal for me to tattoo you. That's why I will not do it right here.
I see.
Gotcha. So, is there any more that is like us from our world who live in this town that we may be able to communicate with, or is it just you? By the way, what is your name?
I am Unlok. Oh, that's a great question. Vat. Unlok Vat.
And so we gather that the Unlok are orcs, or are those the priests?
So Uns are Un is the prefix for just about every name nomenclature in Unamin. Right, so
Okay.
you could like the bartenders Unlogus, the Unamin are elves. This is the country of Unamin, right?
Okay.
So Un just refers to the elves and this country, but you could be a human and be Unamin, right?
Okay.
If you've taken the tattoo and you've taken the oath to the goddess, right? Okay. She is a no or orc. So they refer to orcs as no. But they can be, a no Lok is an actual magic user. So no Lok is all magic users would be Lok. So Unlok, right?
Yeah, got it.
Right. And the Baal they name themselves after their dragon master. And she reminds you they're just the greatest of the dwarves, but there are many dragon revering dwarf cultures and clans.
Yes, how big is this land?
Pretty large. I mean, it's big enough. The King Suul in the north has the majority of the north half of the island, and he is at war with the Baal. The Baal are winning. It's a war of attrition that's been waging for a long time. And again, you are Sulan. You would be Sulan or the human.
Yeah.
So is it just you that is from our world, or is there anyone
there
else?
there may be many, but in this village I know of none, and I don't live here. They had to come get me from my tribe. I am the matriarch of my tribe,
Where
not
and where you guys located?
not an hour's ride from here.
White Wolf's
Our
feet.
guys where? North, south, east, west?
West. I do not advise you visit my tribe.
White Wolf's feet hit the floor, and he stands up and stretches. And how do you say room?
And she tells you, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I nod and kind of turn around and walk over to the guy who seems to be the bartender.
The innkeep. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unlogus. You've heard him call him Unlogus many times.
Unlogus.
He
Room.
jumps up, kind of surprised you say his name.
Room.
Yeah.
And then I kind of pat him on a
Okay.
motion upwards.
Yeah. So he says something to the sergeant. Sergeant nods and basically says, "Yes, of course, it's fine. You're not prisoners." Is the sense he gives the innkeep.
Okay, I nod to him and turn around and grab another thing of ale.
Okay.
And kind of stagger off up the stairwell, going to a room.
Okay.
My friends, I better go get Corvish and that lad that White Eye said that they tied up. If we release him now, things might stay cool.
Yeah.
That sounds
I'll
good.
be back.
Okay.
I think I want to stay here with our friend Vat and learn more of this language. The
Okay.
faster we learn, the easier our lives will be.
Okay.
Leave some wine
I
for
like
me.
that idea too. I want to try to learn as much from her,
Okay.
the culture
Sorceress.
and stuff.
Sorceress, how do you say friend?
Yeah, and so she tells you. I mean, I haven't written a whole
Yeah,
language. I've just got
No,
some
don't.
phrases, right?
Right. No, don't worry.
I'm not Tolkien, man. I did not write a whole language.
Relax.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, because and what is the sergeant's name?
He is. Let's see here. He is Un Aman.
Un Aman. All right. No, that's because obviously those are the words he's going to use for the poor tied up man at arms.
Right. Right.
All right, as White Wolf is about to go upstairs,
Sure.
he'll make a little whistle, trying to get Sadi's attention. And if she looks, he'll give a little wink. Because your charisma will let you, right? He's trying to make a gesture, you know what I mean? And he's a little bit buzzed, so you're 11, so that's comeliness too. So anyway.
So I give the wink back, and then I turn and I go back to what I was saying to the orc and just ignore him.
And he smiles and heads up, yeah.
So she demands food and drink and tells you that there will be some payment due for the time I spend teaching you this language. Are you prepared to do something for me later as a favor returned?
Of course.
I don't have much money with me, but
it will
yes.
not be money that I or my tribe ask of you. It will be a duty.
Of course.
Okay,
I-
so you may be called upon in future in aid.
Of course.
Okay, so she spends, we'll just assume all night long working with you guys. So that's going to improve your D12 chance at learning this language. So every day you're in the world, you get to roll this D12. But since you're spending all this time with her, we're going to give you a larger bonus for this. So everybody's going to have a chance to roll. Now, of course, Donnie and Dell have already been here for 8 or 10 hours listening to this. So you've got a higher bonus. So everybody just make a die 12 for me roll, and we'll see if you start to pick it up.
And what's our target number? I'm sorry.
It'll be
telling us.
1 to 5 for you. It's 1 to 7 for Dell and.
I rolled a 3. Is that good?
Yep.
Are we trying to roll high or low?
Yep.
I got
Oh,
a 3 as
oh.
well.
Okay.
All right, I got a 5.
Okay. So you were right on it, and Dell.
I got a 4.
Okay. So you
Nice.
all learn it, and you'll learn it enough that you can now just function in the world normally. Normal communication. There might be some phrases above your head, but again, that would be like any rudimentary understanding of the language. So in that sense, we don't have to worry about the language anymore. However, there's certain, of course, prefixes and things that you would want to use in normal
Yeah.
situations. It would be important to use proper terms, of course, right?
We speak
I'm
proper.
happy to have a barbarous accent.
Right.
So it's like a European in feudal Japan, right?
Right.
That sort of thing.
Right. And in teaching the language, she tells you about the divine Suul bloodline, that kings and queens rule Suul. And of course, the Baal are at war with them. The Baal are the largest and most dangerous. They are a dark clan devoted to this red dragon. They are chaotic in nature. The humans can be all over the place, and they believe in their king, and the bloodline is divine right to rule. And of course, the Unamine here, the elves and the Unamine believe in the goddess, and that they would like to see the people believe in the goddess in rule, not in the man, right?
Mm-hmm.
So she just tells you a little bit about all this, and tells you about the war between Baal, and that the Unamine, unfortunately, like to try to play both sides. They're trying to destabilize as much as they can, hoping to then rescue the country and make everybody under the Unamine laws, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. She tells you will be known as Ak, and Ak are just outcasts. If you don't get tattooed, you're considered an outcast. Now, the great thing about being an outcast is you can travel freely. And in Unamine, you just can't own certain things. But, I mean, in Baal, they wouldn't care that you're not tattooed, etc. And an outcast is free basically to be a mercenary or treasure hunter, most likely. You're free to move. Now, if you're an elf, you're going to have issues moving, in this land. And if you're a dwarf, you would have issues in the Suulan land. And if you're a human in the dwarf land, you're going to have to carry what's called a writ of passage. And that can be achieved by making treaties with the Baal or other dwarven clans that will allow you to pass through their territory, but they may demand that you do jobs for them. So many Ox are outcasts, or mercenaries and treasure hunters. Right? You can get citizenship here with a tattoo. Right? And you have to be seen by the priest to get legally tattooed.
And if you're like the Suling humans, they also fall under the purview of the Unamine, right? They also get the tattoos and stuff.
Nope. They
So it's
can.
like-
Sure, a Sulan could come down here and be tattooed. Yes. Yes. They sure can. And again, halflings are immune to it. So, and they don't, there aren't, let's put it this way. Makes clear to you, you're a myth to most of these people. They believe that you're the evil feral man eaters from the canyons.
Yeah.
They would be blown away anywhere in this country to see you probably, but she's not been to Suul. She's not been to Baal. The orcs are all they're known as the No. So many of them, we're warring tribes. Our orcs follow the leader they believe can bring them to the darkness and the end, which is the goddess of Orcus.
Mm-hmm.
Our god, the god of Orcus. And they believe in the darkness and the end, and that's all orc warriors want to achieve, the end, right? They're like Vikings, but they're orcs.
Yeah.
Right. So to die in battle or to die under the rule of a great warrior orc is how they want to live, or matriarch, which is what most of them have. So, not all orcs have magic. She's a no-lope, which is very rare, and they're revered by the Unamine. She makes this clear that we are revered because not even the elves can do what we can do with this tattoo. So they need us to maintain their thing.
Okay. Well, White Wolf's been dreaming about that dragon horde and getting to sleep.
Yeah.
Good luck with that, my friend.
So you've all learned the language, which is good. So we don't have to fool with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for now, you have an inn here to stay at, and they're going to try to verify your story, right, Suti, as to whether you killed and stole. Now, clearly, you're not carrying this box of gold, so whatever. But you could have hidden it somewhere, right? So
Say, Milo, maybe we can put those keen halfling eyes of yours to use. What if you can track down that runaway gnome? If we can bring him back,
Yeah,
it would definitely prove Sotis's innocence.
I have no issue with that.
That is a good idea. I suppose we could get on with that. It'd be nice if they could supply us with some sort of map, or at least an outline of the territory. I mean, I've no doubt in my skills, right? I could lead us there and back again, but it would be nice to have a
Not
map.
for nothing. I know Wolfie here is great at getting us fish, but just some basic supplies for the road wouldn't be too bad.
That would help, although no need to worry. Both Milo and I can get along in the wild.
Forage for food as needed. But it'd be nice to see, like if they have a map, or they could sketch out some regions or something for us. Maybe we can figure out where he's headed just from the direction.
And as a matter of fact, I'll get a map scanned at Office Depot and get a PDF to you guys.
Cool.
It won't have all the details, but you'll have a map.
Sure, and that's reasonable, right? It's just some major landmarks and stuff like that.
Right.
The city is here, the mountains are there, stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe she'll in part of this education of language, as she tells you about these key regions and key cultures, she'll draw this thing up. Right? Yeah, she'll get a parchment and scratch it out with maybe a magical right? She'll burn it in with the magic ink, right?
Yeah.
Nice.
Are there gnomish warrens close to this place, or is this thief, would he be a rogue?
Gnomes are well, they keep to themselves. They do have some rare magical talents. I've never heard of one as a thief. There's something strange about that story. But gnomes are usually loners. And we see them, mostly they are in the kingdom of Suul. Suul seems to like their gnome, having gnomes around.
But he went south.
Are
the kingdom of Suul is north, is the farthest north point, right?
Right, but this guy rode south.
Yes, he went south. Yep.
Sorry, Donald. I'm sorry.
So, question: where is the land of the dwarfs? Is it south or is it north?
It is northwest. The large mount. Oh God, where's my big notebook? I haven't looked at my Island of Suul stuff in a couple of years. It is Mount Provort. They live and reside in the kingdom of Mount Provort.
Well, obviously they need gold, as do I.
Mm-hmm.
So, how about we chase them down
Yeah.
and split the rewards? And I smile at everybody.
Yeah, she says according to them, he stole the town treasury. That would be a problem. I don't know how much this little town could have, but if he absconded with their entire treasury.
Well, hopefully I didn't spin it all. And
There was a trail of it. I didn't snag all of it. There was a trail that was going, so.
Yeah.
We're doing this to prove our comrade's innocence and gain goodwill, so that then we can get gainful employment.
Well, it's a good thing I've got a nose for gold.
So, question, and I turn to the orc. Is this tattoo like removable? Can we do like some magical removal of this? Or is it a permanent?
She informs you it's. Well, she tells you that it's not likely, not without killing you.
Okay.
And we've rarely
or
ever,
dismemberment.
Right. Yes.
So
yes.
If I was to remove my arm at that point, they will be tracking my arm per se, right? Not
yes,
me.
I mean if you remove your arm or lose your arm, then of course there would be no way to track you.
You'd look badass with a hook.
Right?
Yeah, so there goes your lock picking skills.
Yeah, I know, right?
I don't know. You can have a pick on the end of it.
Right. You have a little tool. You just change tools like a screwdriver, right?
Yeah, just twist it. Different hooks for different things.
A fork when you're eating, right? A lock pick when you're
Yeah.
picking locks. No offense to anybody out there who may have this exact wonderful tool, right? Do you guys want to keep going, or is this a good place to end session 1?
Yeah,
I think it's a good spot.
Yeah, we got a lot of playing. This is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And now we got-
Only one thing saddens me.
Yes, sir.
All these beans and the Delton get some tortillas.
no, man.
That would have been awesome.